Today we're going to talk about string bends. There are two types of string bends, a full bend and a half bend for beginners, okay? So a full bend is like reaching from a first note to a second note, but that's a whole step. That means 2 frets higher. So let's take this note here, D, for example, the 3rd string, 7th fret. That's a D note, okay? Now a full bend is reaching from a D note. You're stretching that pitch higher up to the 9th fret note, which is an E. So D, your goal is to stretch it or bend it, the pitch upwards towards E, sounding like this. So there are the 2 notes, okay? So D and E. You need to be able to recognize those pitches. So D and E. Right? Now we'll try to bend this now from the D note, 7th fret, 3rd string. We're going to bend it upwards until you hear the pitch reaches this note. So it's kind of like that. I'm going to slide it first. There, so that's the goal, okay? That pitch, just up to that, not higher or not a little bit lower, exactly up to that pitch as much as you can. So here we go. There you go, okay? So when you pluck that string, you're gonna reach that E note. You can try it slowly until you hear that note. And try to remember how it feels like up to how high you bend that string. There you go. So that's a full bend up. Now there's also a full bend down. So if you bend it upwards, you bend it back down. Just go back down. So the goal here is playing D, E, and D again. So it'll sound like this. If you play individual notes, it will sound like this. So those are the notes that basically you're playing. So, but when you're bending, it gives more expression and the style of you hear that smooth bend of the note going up of the pitch and back down. So here, let's try that. This note D, E, D. So. There you go. Okay, so that's a bend up and bend down. There is also this kind of bend where you start with a bent position full, then you pluck it, and then you bend downwards. So it sounds like that, from E going down to D. So you start with a bent position. There, so that's a bend down, okay? Next is the half bend. A half bend is not, it's just a half, or half step. It's like 1 fret higher. So if you're in the 7th fret, 3rd string, the goal is to reach this note here on the 8th fret. If you listen to the difference of the full bend, you're playing D, E. That sounds brighter. That sounds like a major sound, right? A half bend is like a minor sound. That's D and D sharp or E flat, okay? That's 1 step away, 1 fret away. Okay, we call that a half step, all right? A whole step is a full bend, D to E, 2 frets away. A half step is D to D sharp or E flat. That's 1 fret away, okay? Next to it. So, this is the sound of a half bend. The notes for the half bend are this, D and E flat, or D sharp. and we try to bend that. So it's not as far higher when you bend it like the full bend. It's just half of it. So there you go. That's a half bend up. Right? And yeah, written, when you see a bend on the tablature, it's written like this. Okay? Half bend. And for the full bend, it's written this way. All right? So let's try that again. Half bend. Now we're gonna bend up and bend back down, half bend only. So it sounds like this. Okay, so I'm doing some vibrato. It's just like a habit already of my fingers, like a muscle memory. All right, so you can do that sometimes, most of the time. But if you're, thing is, when you're bending and you don't know how to do that vibrato, and if you accidentally bend it and overbend and you don't know that vibrato, you don't do that, it's very clear that you overbent that note and it doesn't sound good if that's not the goal that you're going for, okay? So I recommend also trying to practice with the vibrato when you reach that bend, pretty much reach that pitch. Try it with a vibrato a little bit so you can play along. If it's too much, it's still, you're doing a vibrato, right? So if you went overboard, you're still doing a vibrato, so it will still sound good. So if I'm playing a full bend like this, so if I overbend and I do a vibrato, I can get away with it. You can get away with it. You're gonna hear it, right? So you can adjust. Okay, so if I now half bend, let's try it with a vibrato. All right, so if I try to overbend that half bend, I hear it's overbent, so I can adjust. So, oh. So it really depends on what you're going for and the situation, the musical situation where you're in at the moment, okay? So let's try now overbend. I mean, not overbend, but a full bend and a half. That means you're bending from the D note. A full bend is only up to E. But if you bend a full bend and a half, that means you're bending more than E. So that's 3 half steps up. So D, D sharp, E, F. So a bend and a half is bending up to here from D. If you start here on D, reach this note here, F. So like I said earlier, it depends on the musical situation at the moment where you're at. So if it requires you're going for a bend and a half, those are the, and you're in D, you're trying to reach this note, F. So that's like 1, 2, 3 frets away. So let's listen to what the individual notes for a bend and a half. That's D and F. So I'm gonna slide it so we can have some sort of idea where you start and where you end. Okay, so. There, so now we know, that's the notes that we're trying to play with a bend. So let's try that now. So remember, a bend and a half is bending it more, okay, up. So. There, so is that correct? So when I bend. There you go, so you can bend it more, okay? So I purposely chose the third string. It seems to be easier to bend when you need to bend more than a full bend. So just try it here on the G string for now, okay? But of course, you can do it on the second string and sometimes on the first string. But for now, let's just use the third string, okay? So D to F, full bend and a half. Try to do some vibrato on the top. All right? Now, full bend, a bend and a half, bending back down. So. There you go. So, keep practicing those bends. Listen to what you're doing. Listen to those notes. All right? If you're not sure, play those individual notes. So if you're bending from the fifth, from the 7th fret D, full bend is just 2 frets away. A half bend is 1 fret away. And that's your reference, okay? Half step, half bend. Bend and a half. There you go. All right? So hope this helps out. I'll see you in the next lesson.